Hi guys, it's Ashley back with Loomfinity, and today I'm here to show you how to make Mr. Salt and Mrs. Salt and Mr. Pepper from Blue's Clues. And I made these back a couple months ago when I first started looming, and then I never really went forward with the tutorial. They've been kind of sitting in my box, and I was going through there, came across them, and decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do it while I'm working on some of my larger loom projects. I just recently did Mike Wazowski. He took 2 looms, and these designs here will also take 2 looms in order to create. And just so you know, the next tutorial will be the baby paprika, and she also takes 2 looms to make. So hopefully you do have the 2 looms. Mr. Pepper and Mrs. Salt are essentially the same design, so you'll use the same tutorial. I'm going to do one tutorial for both. The only difference would be the color as far as the body. So if you are going to actually make Mr. Pepper today, you'll need about 60 black, 60 clear, 55 gray, and 6 pink. And I'm also using 2 of the black pony beads to create the eyes. If you are making Mrs. Salt, then you'll need about 60 black, 60 clear, 3 gray, 52 white, and 3 pink. So if you want to go ahead and grab your supplies, we can get started. And today I am actually going to recreate Mr. Pepper with you. So again, like I said, if you're following and you're wanting to make Mrs. Salt, anything that I use other than the top, because you can see the tops are the same, so you still need the 3 gray, but in the body, when I tell you to use gray, you would use the white. And you'll also see here the mouths are different, so I've tried different techniques. If you choose to make this mouth, you would just do 3 pink bands here, and I'll tell you where that is. The way that I'm going to do it today will still take 3, but they're just going to go diagonal, and they'll probably come out a little bit more like this. So I'm just trying different ways in order to put their mouths in. This one just looked a little scary face to me, to just go 3 straight up. Okay, so go ahead and collect your supplies, and we will go ahead and get started on Mrs. Salt and Mr. Pepper. Okay, the first part that we're going to create today is his arms, and to do that you will just be using black bands. And what you're going to do is come down the left side of the loom with single black bands, and you're going to do that 7 times. It's a single double. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we'll be using our hook in order to create the hand. So to do that, you're going to take a single black on your hook, creating 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Taking a single black, I'm going to double it and feed these bands in place. And I'm going to repeat that again, so a single black, double, leaving that on my hook, and I'm going to repeat that process 2 more times. So a single black, creating 4 loops, single black, double it, another single black, double it, and then repeating that again. Single black, 4 loops, single double, another single double, and then I'm going to take another single black, double it, and we're going to feed all 3 fingers onto this single double band. And reclaim that, and then we're going to place this down at the base of the arm as the capping band. Once that's in place, you can begin looping. I'm going to go in, grab my bands, and just go straight up. Grab a holding hook, remove that from the loom, and set it aside. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second hand and arm, and we will move on. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and begin the main layout. I'll be using double bands for the entire layout unless I specify otherwise. So you're going to start at the top with 2 black bands, and when I use the 5 pegs during the tutorial, I'm going to refer to them as row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way there's clarification as to what rows I'm actually talking about. So you're going to take 2 black bands. You're going from the 3rd row, 1st peg, to the 2nd row, 1st peg. You're going to do the same thing from the 3rd row, 1st peg, to the 4th row, 1st peg with 2 black bands. You're then coming down the 2nd row twice with 2 black bands. So that's 1, 2. And we're going to then bring 2 black bands from the 2nd row, 3rd pin into the 3rd row, 3rd pin. And I'm going to repeat that process for the 4th row. So 2 black bands coming down twice. And then 2 black going from the 3rd row, 3rd pin to the 4th row, 3rd pin. And then we're going to fill in the 3rd row coming down twice with 2 black bands. We're now going to switch over to using some clear. So you're taking 2 clear bands. You're coming off the 2nd row, 3rd pin, coming down once to the 4th pin. I'm going to repeat that process straight across. So from the 3rd row, 3rd pin to 4th pin, and the 4th row, 3rd pin to 4th pin. Then taking 2 more clear, and then going from the 2nd row, 4th pin out to the 1st row, 5th pin at an angle. I know these clear bands can be really hard to see, so that's why I'm trying to be so specific about the pin numbers. And then we're going to do that again over here on the 4th row, 4th pin to the 5th row, 5th pin. Taking 2 more clear on the 2nd row, 4th pin to the 2nd row, 5th pin. 2 more clear from the 3rd row, 4th pin to 5th pin, and the 4th row, 4th pin to 5th pin, just like that. Now we're going to move in using more color, and what I did with both of these, I'm not sure how well you can see it, instead of just doing solid gray, because technically the pepper is inside of a glass bottle, is I did a gray and a clear. And on these I did a white and a clear. So you want the clear on the bottom, gray on the top. So what you're going to do is going down, we're going to go down the left hand side, and I want you to go all the way down to the 2nd to the last pin. So that's 1, 2, 3. You're coming down 7 times. You're taking your gray and your clear. You want the gray on top, clear on the bottom. Just like that. So you're going to come all the way down 7 times doing the same thing. And remember, clear on bottom, gray on the top. And we're going to repeat that same step all the way down the 5th row 7 times. Again, with your clear on the bottom and gray on the top. We are then going to come from the 5th row, the 2nd to the last peg, and we're going to just go straight across. Same technique. So clear on the bottom, gray on the top, and I'm going from the 5th to the 4th, 4th to the 3rd, third to the 2nd, and 2nd to the 1st. And we are then going to fill in all of the center, so the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rows, the same technique. So gray on the top, clear on the bottom, and then just fill all of them in. And again, this is the area here, if you're making Mrs. Salt, you would do white on top, clear on the bottom. On the middle row, you're going to come down 3 times with your gray on top, clear on the bottom. And then the 4th time, so you came down 3 times, you're going to take 2 pink bands on this peg here. And then you're going to switch back to your gray and clear. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here on the 4th row. And this is what you should have. You're now going to take 2 more pink bands, and you are going from the 3rd row, 5th peg from the bottom, to the 2nd row, 6th peg from the bottom at an angle. And you're going to do that again from the 3rd row, 5th peg, to the 4th row, 6th peg from the bottom. Just like that. Then taking a single pink band, you're going from the 2nd row, 6th peg, to the 3rd row, 6th peg. And repeat that as well from the 3rd row, 6th, to the 4th row, 6th. So you're making a V. We also want to cap off this bottom left corner. You can use clear or gray at your choice. and you're just going to create 3 loops. Apparently I cannot do this sideways. Just like that. And now we need to place our crossover bands, and we also need to attach 2 attachments here. So let's go ahead and create the attachment first. You're going to take a single black on your hook. You're going to make 3 loops, and that's gray, not black. So black, creating 3 loops, taking 2 black and feeding those on. And we are then going to take this and hook it to the 2nd row, 3rd pin down. And we just want that to face out. We're going to repeat the same thing for the 4th row, 3rd pin. So single black, 3 loops, taking 2 black and feeding those on. And placing that here. And again, that should be facing out. Now moving into our crossover bands, you're going to take a single black on the you're going from the 2nd row to the 4th row, 2nd pins. You're going to take a single and double it and come straight across all 3 pins. We then can skip this row here. I'm moving down into the clear. I'm going to take a single clear and double it, and I'm coming from the 2nd row 4th pin to the 4th row 4th pin, straight across. Moving down into the body section, these you can use clear or gray, it's really your choice. I'm going to go ahead and use gray today. So you're going to just come straight across from the 1st row 5th pin to the 3rd row 5th pin, and then going from the 3rd row 5th pin to the 5th row 5th pin. And I'm going to repeat that again for the 6th pin 1st row, 6th pin 3rd row, the 6th pin on the 3rd row to the 6th pin on the 5th row, and again for the 7th pin, repeating the same process. Over here, we're going to take a single gray, you're going to double it. You're going from the 8th pin on the 1st row to the 8th pin on the 2nd row, and repeat that over here. So from the 8th pin on the 4th row with a single double to the 8th pin on the 5th row. Moving down to the 9th pin. Again, single gray from the 1st to the 3rd, 3rd to the 5th. Repeating that again down here on the 10th pin, 1st to the 3rd, 3rd to the 5th. And again on this last row before our final base, 1st to the 3rd and 3rd to the 5th. And this is what you should have. The last thing we need to attach is the eyes. So I'm going to do, actually, this is a little bit different than normal figures. You can't really put them both on one band because they have to go on 2 different sides. There's 5 pins involved. So I'm going to take 1 gray band and feed that through one of my black beads. And this will be placed from the 1st row 6th pin to the 3rd row 6th pin, just like this. And then I'm just going to push the bead up over the top of the 2nd row 6th pin so it's resting on top. And I'm going to do that again for the other eye. So this one will be placed from the 3rd row 6th pin to the 5th row 6th pin, and then placing the bead over right on top of the 4th row 6th pin, just like that. Now that we have those things in place, we can go ahead and begin looping. So we're going to go in under the capping band, and I'm going to grab my first 2 bands, which should be going to the right. And before I can just go all the way to the right, I'm going to be looping up at least 1 row as I go. So I'm going to go back in the capping band, grabbing my next 2 bands and bringing those up. I'm going to go into the 2nd row, grabbing the first 2 bands, which are slipping. Let me push these down some. And bringing those up as well. Going back into the 2nd row, going through all 4 of these bands, grabbing these 2, and I missed 1, but I'm coming over to the right. Going through those 2 bands I brought over, grabbing the first 2 and bringing them up. Going back into the 3rd row, grabbing the bottom 2 and bringing them over. Going back in, grabbing the top 2 and bringing them up. Back through that row, grabbing the bottom 2 and bringing them over. I'm then going to go in here, grabbing the bottom 2 and bringing these up. And that's what you should have. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to start on the 3rd row. So we are going to go in, grabbing these 2 and bringing them up. Once you get here, you're working with multiple bands, so I'm going to go in, grabbing my pink and bringing them up and at an angle. So your first set should come up at an angle. The next 2 pink should come up and over to this angle here. And then the next 2 are the bottom pinks. They should come up into the center, just like that. Now before we continue up, we don't want to end up burying these pink bands under the gray, so I'm going to go back down to the 2nd row. I'm going to loop this up to the base of the pink. And then what I want to do here is I'm actually going to remove these 2 that I hooked, go in, grabbing these bottom 2 gray and clear, and then I'm going to reclaim my pink back over top. And I'm going to repeat that step over here on the 4th row. So go in, grabbing your pink and removing them back off the peg, just the top 2. Go through the bottom, grabbing those and hook them, and then reclaim your pink. Now before we can loom anything over here, we need to go back in. And remember, these 2 pink bands here, they were singles. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab the first pink, which should come over to the right. My next pink should go over to the left. And now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and loop straight up the center to the base of the black. I'm going to go back in on the 2nd row right here at the top of the pink, and I'm going to go ahead and loop that up, stopping on the last clear. So stopping on the 4th peg. We don't want to loop this last clear yet. Try to make sure when you hook this that you wrap the bead through the middle. So right here the bead pushes through the middle between the two bands. And I'm going to stop there. No, I'm stopping on the next one. This one here. Going back down to the 4th row, right here where the pink is where we left off. I'm going to repeat that same process. And push my bead back over. And now we can go ahead and loop up the outside. So I'm going to start on the left. Remember, we brought the first one up, so now I'm just going to go, oh, we need to put the arms on too. Totally forgot about the arms. I'm sure you guys are wondering. Okay, so the arms are going to be attached to the third, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th peg down on the left and the 7th peg down on the right. Okay, so once we've placed those, then we can loop up the rest of the outside. It wouldn't be the first time I forgot to put arms on my character. And this one I'm going to go ahead and bring up at an angle, and I can go ahead and loop up to this black. And I'm going to go back down here and do the other side. Straight up to here. Now, in this section here, we need to add our 3 gray pieces. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a single gray, and on my hook, I'm going to create 4 loops. Just like that. I'm going to do that again. And if you can fit it on your hook, I'm going to do that again, because we need 3 in total. Now the first thing that we need to do is we need to go through the center, grabbing the first 2 black bands, and I'm going to pull 1 set of gray onto that band before I hook it in the middle. Just like that. Then going back in, I'm grabbing my next 2, bringing them over to the right. My next 2 are going over to the left. On the left side, I'm going to go through all of these bands, grabbing only the bottom 2 black. I only got 1. And bringing them up. Going through the second row, grabbing these 2 black, and I'm going to again slide a set of gray onto that band before I hook it to the top. Going in on the right side, grabbing only the bottom 2 black, bringing them up, grabbing the next 2, and again I'm going to take my last set of gray loops, slide them on to the top. In the middle, I'm going to go ahead and pull up this last band, and now I can pull these over from the outside, so grabbing these bottom 2, bringing them to the center, bringing these 2 to the center. And I'm now going to take a single black, going through the top, and creating my slip knot. And Mr. Pepper is now ready to be removed from the loom. And once he's off the loom, you'll need to fix him up a little bit. If his eyes have shifted to the outside, just find the bands that they should be in between and replace them where they belong. And I think this smile came out better than the other one. He shouldn't take much fixing though. I'm going to go in the back and hide his slip knot. And that is how you create Mr. Pepper. And again, just watch the same tutorial if you'd like to also create Mrs. Salt. But I do hope that you like him. Don't forget to subscribe for updates on future videos.